Have you ever wondered why certain relationships start to feel heavier instead of lighter as we grow older? Could some people, even those we once trusted deeply, no longer belong in our lives? Welcome. Today, I want to invite you into a conversation that few people talk about openly, but many feel deep within their hearts. As we age, life no longer revolves around chasing goals or proving our worth. It becomes about savoring peace, honoring the wisdom we have gathered, and protecting the quiet joy that comes from living true to ourselves. Yet sometimes, without even realizing it, we continue to carry people in our lives who no longer align with the serenity we seek. Some relationships that once felt nourishing now feel burdensome. Some connections, even with family, begin to cost more than they give. It is not because we have grown hard or selfish. It is because we have finally come to understand that our emotional well-being is precious, and that not every relationship deserves a seat at the table of our later years. This truth can be difficult to accept, especially when the people draining us are those we have known for decades. But protecting your heart is not an act of rejection. It is an act of love. Love for the life you still have ahead, and for the deep peace you have every right to enjoy. In this video, we will talk about the 5 types of people you must avoid in old age, even if they are family. Before we begin, if you find these conversations meaningful, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. This is a place where your journey, your wisdom, and your emotional freedom are honored. Number 1, the manipulator. In your golden years, few treasures are more valuable than your peace of mind. After decades of giving to others, raising families, supporting communities, building lives, you have earned the right to live with ease. To wake up each day knowing that your time, your energy, your heart belong first and foremost to you. But manipulators do not see it that way. Often disguised as people who just need a little help, they slip into your life, not asking, but expecting you to carry their burdens. At first, their requests seem harmless. A ride to the store, a small favor, a shoulder to lean on. And because you have always been generous, always quick to help, you say yes. But something subtle begins to shift. The calls grow more frequent, the favors grow heavier, and somehow, without meaning to, you find yourself trapped in a quiet, exhausting obligation. What is worse? Manipulators are masters of guilt. They know just which buttons to press: a sigh, a disappointed silence, a reminder of everything you used to do for them. Slowly, the choice to help no longer feels like a choice at all. It feels like a duty, and with every yes you give, a little more of your freedom slips away. Imagine it, a quiet afternoon, a cup of coffee is warm in your hands, the golden light of late afternoons spilling through your window, and then the phone rings. On the other end, a familiar voice, asking for yet another favor. You hesitate. You glance at the garden you had planned to tend, the book you had hoped to finish, the peaceful nap you had earned. But the guilt wraps around you like a heavy chain. You say yes, again, and a piece of your afternoon, a piece of your peace, is gone. Again, it is important to understand, manipulators thrive not because you are weak, but because you are kind. They know you value harmony, they know you dislike saying no, and they use that against you. But here is the truth you must hold on to. Saying no is not cruelty, it is clarity, it is self-respect, it is love for the life you have left to live. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it is necessary. You do not have to explain yourself. You do not have to justify your choices. A simple, firm statement is enough. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to help this time. No elaborate excuses, no apologies, because your time, your energy, and your emotional health are worth protecting. It is also essential to reflect on the nature of these relationships. Ask yourself, gently but honestly, does this person lift my spirit, or do they drain it? Do they add peace to my life, or do they pull me back into cycles of obligation and guilt? True relationships the ones worth keeping in this sacred season of life, are built on mutual care and respect. They do not demand. They do not feel guilty. They do not weigh your heart down. If someone's presence leaves you feeling depleted, resentful, or trapped, it is not your duty to carry them forward. It is your right to let go. Letting go of manipulators is not the same as abandoning kindness. It is choosing where your kindness is best placed. It is choosing to pour your love into the people, passions, and moments that truly nourish you, not those that consume you. You have spent a lifetime giving. Now it is time to give back to yourself, to sip your coffee in peace, to walk through your garden unburdened, to say yes only when it truly feels right, and to say no firmly, kindly, unapologetically, yet it protects the quiet, beautiful life you have so richly earned. Number 2, the self-absorbed, the narcissist. As we move into the later seasons of life, connection becomes less about quantity and more about depth. We no longer seek crowds. We seek authenticity, conversations that nourish, moments that feel real. Yet, not every person we meet is capable of offering that depth. Some remain trapped in the endless mirror of themselves, so consumed by their own needs, their own achievements, their own emotions, that there is little room left for anyone else. These are the self-absorbed, the narcissists, and their presence in your life can be more isolating than solitude itself. Imagine this scene. You sit across from a family member at a quiet cafe. You've come prepared to share a story, a memory from long ago, one that still lights your heart with warmth. You open your mouth to speak, and before the first sentence leaves your lips, they interrupt. They begin recounting their own latest triumph, their latest grievance, their latest drama. You smile politely. You wait. You try again, weaving your way back to your story. But again, the conversation bends sharply back to them, their job, their health, their victories, their pain. And somewhere along the way, you realize you have disappeared from the conversation entirely. You are no longer a participant. You are the audience, a backdrop, a silent witness to their endless monologue. This dynamic, over time, eats away at your spirit, because connection, real connection is meant to be a two-way bridge, not a one-way street. Narcissistic individuals are often charming at first. They sparkle with stories, with grand gestures, with quick laughter. It is easy to be drawn in, but beneath that sparkle lies an emptiness, an inability, or perhaps an unwillingness to truly see another person. And make no mistake, when you are in a relationship with a self-absorbed person, your need, your feelings, your milestones will always come second to their desire for attention. This can be especially painful in your golden years. After a lifetime of experiences, of loves gained and lost, of triumphs weathered and wounds healed, you deserve more than to be an invisible spectator. You deserve to be seen, to be heard, to be valued for the whole, rich, magnificent journey that you carry inside you. Recognizing this pattern is crucial because the self-absorbed will rarely change. Their world revolves around themselves, and expecting them to suddenly open space for you can lead only to frustration and heartache. Instead, the power lies in setting boundaries, not from anger, but from wisdom. If conversations always tilt back to them, gently but firmly steer them back. I'd like to finish what I was sharing first. If they dismiss your feelings or minimize your experiences, affirm yourself quietly and firmly. I understand you have your views, but this moment matters to me too. You are not asking for permission to matter. You already do. You are simply reclaiming the space you have every right to occupy. It is also important to remember, their self-absorption is not a reflection of your value. Their inability to celebrate your life does not diminish its beauty. Seek out those who see you, those whose eyes light up when you share a memory, those who ask with genuine interest. And how did that make you feel? Those who listen, not to respond, but to understand. These are the companions who will enrich your later years. These are the souls who will remind you that even in a world often deafened by noise, your voice still matters, profoundly. And if that means narrowing your circle a little, so be it. Better to share your stories with one person who listens with their heart than with a crowd who hears nothing at all. Number 3, the critic. One of the most liberating gifts of growing older is the freedom to finally live on your own terms, to wear what makes you feel beautiful, to spend your days as you choose, to shape a life that feels true to who you have become, not who others expect you to be. But there is a certain type of person who can quietly chip away at that hard-earned freedom, the critic, the one who, under the pretense of just being honest or only wanting the best for you, makes you second-guess your choices, the one who plants tiny seeds of doubt where there should be pride, or contentment, or peace. You recognize them by their patterns. A comment about how you dress, that you used to be more stylish. A remark about how you spend your time, that you're wasting your potential or should be doing more. A subtle glance of disapproval when you share a new hobby, a trip you want to take, or a decision you feel proud of. At first, their words may seem small, isolated, harmless, even, but over time, their criticisms accumulate like stones in your pockets, weighing you down, making it harder to walk confidently in the life you have chosen. And here is the painful truth. Critics often project their own fears, regrets, and insecurities onto others. They find fault not because you are doing something wrong, but because your freedom reminds them of the freedom they have not claimed for themselves. Your joy unsettles them. Your self-acceptance highlights what they have not yet accepted in themselves. Understanding this can soften the sting, but it does not erase the need to protect yourself. You are not obligated to carry the weight of another person's dissatisfaction with their own life. Imagine it like this. You have spent decades climbing your own mountain, weathering storms, navigating detours, and rebuilding a life that is uniquely yours. You have earned every scar, every triumph, every peaceful view you now enjoy. Why let someone who stood at the base of the mountain tell you how you should have climbed it? Dealing with critics requires clarity and courage. When you hear a cutting remark, pause. Ask yourself, is this criticism rooted in love and respect, or is it simply their own pain spilling over? If it is not constructive, if it does not come from a place of genuine care, you have every right to let it pass through you without taking root. You might respond calmly but firmly. I appreciate your perspective, but I'm happy with the choices I've made. You do not owe anyone a defense of your life. You do not need to justify your joy, your freedom, or your authenticity. Another powerful tool is to gently redirect conversations away from negativity. When a critic points out what they see as a flaw, you can answer, "That's one way to see it. I see it as a celebration of who I am becoming." By framing your choices as victories rather than failures, you reinforce your own sense of worth, and you subtly teach others how you expect to be treated. And perhaps most importantly, seek out those rare and beautiful souls who celebrate you without conditions. The friend who laughs with you when you try something new, the neighbor who listens, not to correct you, but to understand you, the family member who says, simply and sincerely, "I'm proud of you." These are the people who deserve your stories, your presence, and your time, not the ones who pick you apart, but the ones who help you stitch yourself together even more beautifully. Life is far too short, and your spirit far too precious, to spend it shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's narrow expectations. Let go of the need to win over the critic. You have nothing to prove. You have only the life left to live, freely, joyfully, unapologetically. Before we move on to the next type of person to avoid, I invite you once more. If this message is touching something true within you, consider subscribing. Here, we honor the journey you've walked, and we walk beside you as you continue forward, with your head high and your heart unburdened. Number 4, the irresponsible. There is a quiet hope that comes with aging, a hope that as we step into our later years, The heavy responsibilities we've carried for so long might finally lighten, that the decades spent working, raising families, solving crises, and holding others together will now give way to a chapter of rest, reflection, and gentle joy. But sometimes, certain people refuse to carry the weight of their own lives, and if you are not careful, they will place that burden onto your shoulders, leaving you trapped in patterns you thought you had finally left behind. These are the irresponsible ones, the ones who stumble from one problem to the next, not because of misfortune, but because they choose not to learn, not to change, not to own the consequences of their actions. And worse, they often expect you to pick up the pieces again and again. Picture it: a phone call late at night, a frantic message, a story of yet another financial mistake, another poor decision, another crisis that only you can fix. You listen, you care, but somewhere deep inside, a familiar ache begins to stir. Because you know this road, you have walked it before. And no matter how many times you extend your hand, they stumble right back into the same ditch, pulling your peace, your energy, and sometimes even your resources down with them. The dangerous thing about irresponsibility is that it often hides behind love. You're the only one I can turn to. If you don't help me, what will I do? They use the bond you share, the history, the affection, the duty, as a lever, not to lift themselves up, but to keep you tied to their chaos. But hear this truth and hold it close. You are not responsible for another adult's refusal to grow. You are not obligated to fix what they choose to break. And helping someone does not mean sacrificing your own well-being on their behalf. Compassion is a beautiful thing, but compassion without boundaries becomes exploitation. And in your golden years, you owe it to yourself to know the difference. Setting limits with irresponsible people may feel uncomfortable at first. You may worry about seeming cold or uncaring, but real care, real love, is sometimes expressed through letting others face their own consequences, so they might finally learn and rise. When the next crisis call comes, it is more than okay to say, "I'm truly sorry you're facing this. I believe you have the strength to work through it. I'm not able to step in this time, but I have faith you'll find a solution." Notice the shift. You are offering encouragement, not rescue, support, not sacrifice. This may not be what they want to hear, but it is what they need to hear. And it is what you need to say to protect the peace you have spent a lifetime building. You have already lived through decades of irresponsibility, carrying theirs, mending what was broken, holding space for every storm. Now, your soul is asking for something different, for lightness, for freedom, for days unburdened by other people's chaos. Give yourself that gift. Choose to surround yourself with those who respect your time, your energy, and your heart. People who meet you as an equal, not as a savior. People who bring calm, not crisis, into your days. Before we move to the final type of person to avoid, I want to pause and thank you for being here. Number 5, the ungrateful. There's no wound quite like offering your heart, your time, your effort, and receiving cold indifference in return. Ungrateful people drain the joy out of giving. They act as if your kindness is their right, not a gift. Imagine pouring your soul into preparing a holiday meal, only to hear complaints about the food. Imagine bending over backwards to help someone, only to be met with silence. Over time, ingratitude can harden the heart. But hear this: their failure to appreciate you says everything about them and nothing about you. Continue giving, but give wisely. Direct your energy toward those who cherish it. Let your generosity be a reflection of your strength, not a weapon for others to use against you. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's sacred. You have spent your life giving. Now is the time to surround yourself with relationships that honor your soul, not drain it. Let go of the manipulators, the narcissists, the critics, the irresponsible, and the ungrateful. In their place, invite in kindness, respect, laughter, and love. Your golden years are your time to shine, not just survive, but thrive. Thank you for being here today. If you found this message valuable, Please subscribe so we can continue walking this path together. And if you'd like, share in the comments, what's one boundary you're setting for yourself this year? Here's to living boldly, peacefully, and on your own terms.